Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we cut through the noise to get you well-informed fast. Today we're tackling a market that, honestly, might surprise you with its explosive growth. Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of the global flavored water market. You might think it's just water with a dash of something, right? But the numbers tell a really compelling story. Shifting consumer choices, massive expansion.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're drawing all our insights today from a pretty comprehensive report by Cognitive Market Research. Our mission for this deep dive, really, is to pull out the most important nuggets about where this market actually stands right now, where it seems to be headed over, say, the next decade, and which regions are truly making the biggest splash. It's quite an evolving landscape.
I'm really eager to explore these trends and numbers with you. It's quite something how quickly you can get clarity on a complex global market when you just distill the right info. So let's start with the big picture, the global view, the global flavored water market. It generated over $526 million in sales revenue back in 2021. But here's where it really ramps up. It's projected to hit over $762 million by 2025. And then, get this, it's forecasted to surge to an astonishing almost $1.6 billion by 2033. That's growing at a really healthy compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 9.7%. That's quite something.
It really is. And what's fascinating here is that these aren't just, one-off spikes. Nearly 10% CAGR sustained over a decade. That's not just healthy. It means the market is basically doubling in size every 7, maybe 8 years. These numbers clearly show a strong, very consistent upward trend. It demonstrates increasing consumer adoption of flavored water across the globe. It looks like a fundamental shift in what people are choosing to drink. It seems to be far beyond just a passing fad.
That's a powerful global view of expansion, definitely. Okay, so now let's zoom in a bit. How do different parts of the world contribute to this massive surge? I imagine there are some pretty interesting regional dynamics happening.
Oh, absolutely. Let's start with Europe. Now, it's a mature market, and it actually held the largest share back in 2021. And it continues its strong, steady expansion. It's projected to reach nearly $600 million by 2033, with roughly a 9.3% CAGR. So still very solid growth. Within Europe, we see countries like the UK and Germany really leading the way, both growing consistently around 9–10% annually. They're projected to more than triple their market size. Think about that. But what's also really interesting is the collective rest of Europe segment. It's actually outpacing some of the larger individual countries, growing at nearly 12% annually. That suggests a really broad-based, accelerating shift across the whole continent. Places like Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, they're all part of that strong growth, too.
Right, so it's not just the big players. That is a significant indicator of widespread adoption.
Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic then. North America, also an established market, I assume. How's it looking there?
Yeah, very established. And it continues to grow robustly. The entire region is projected to more than double its size, hitting nearly $470 million by 2033. It's maintaining a strong 9.4% CAGR.
Okay.
The United States, predictably, leads the charge there, set to nearly triple its market size, growing just over 9% annually. But what's particularly interesting, maybe, are Canada and Mexico. Canada's actually growing even faster, over 10% annually. And Mexico, it's showing the fastest growth in North America, just slightly higher CAGR than Canada, around 10.4%. It really suggests a rapid evolution in consumer preferences down there.
Interesting. So Mexico's the one to watch in North America for speed.
Oh.
Okay, let's keep moving east. Asia Pacific, I imagine that's a high growth area.
You'd be right. Asia Pacific is demonstrating incredibly strong growth momentum. This market is projected to more than triple in size, reaching over $300 million by 2033. That's with a robust 10.1%, nearly 10.2% CAGR. Wow. China's a huge player here, naturally, growing at over 10% annually. Japan's also going steadily, around 9.5%, but definitely keep a close eye on India. It's expanding incredibly rapidly, projected to nearly quadruple its market size by 2033. That's a notable 11.2% CAGR, really taking on.
Quadruple. That's significant.
It is. And South Korea and Australia are also showing solid, 9-something% growth. But another standout is Taiwan. It's expanding incredibly fast from a smaller base, nearly 11.8% CAGR. That indicates a really, really swift shift in consumer habits there.
Okay, that's a dynamic region for sure. India and Taiwan jumping out there. All right, heading south now, South America. What's the story there?
South America is also experiencing steady expansion, not quite the explosive rates of APAC perhaps, but solid. The market there is expected to nearly triple by 2033, hitting over $72 million. That's at a healthy 9.6% CAGR.
Brazil's leading the way, projected to grow at nearly 10% annually, pretty consistent. And Argentina and Colombia are also showing strong, consistent growth, both around that 9.7, 9.9% mark.
Yeah.
So steady progress across the main economies.
Got it. Steady and strong.
Now, the Middle East, this is another region highlighting really significant growth. Their market is projected to more than triple by 2033, reaching over $75 million. That's achieving an impressive 10.4% CAGR overall.
Higher than South America, then.
Yeah, slightly higher overall regional CAGR. Saudi Arabia is particularly strong here, projected to more than triple its market size with nearly 11% annual growth. And the UAE, even stronger expansion, marking an impressive 11.1%, almost 11.2% CAGR.
Wow.
And you see similar stories, maybe slightly lower rates, but still strong in Qatar, Turkey, Egypt, all contributing to this rapid regional growth, generally seeing their markets double or triple.
Okay, so the Middle East is definitely a hotspot for growth, too. And finally, let's talk about Africa. You hinted earlier, this is where things get really interesting.
Absolutely. Africa is truly the standout performer in terms of growth rate. It's recording the highest global CAGR at over 12.3%.
12.3%.
Yeah. The African market is forecasted to quadruple in size by 2033, reaching nearly $87 million.
Quadruple again, like India. Remarkable.
It is. And within Africa, South Africa leads with an incredible 12.8% CAGR. That's the highest specific country rate we've seen mentioned so far, I think. Nigeria is also expanding very strongly, 12.2% CAGR. And the rest of Africa segment is also showing really robust growth. It points to widespread adoption across the continent. It's genuinely remarkable how quickly this market is developing there.
That's incredible growth across the board, but Africa really stands out.
Right. So if we connect all this back to the bigger picture, it's clear that while established markets like North America and Europe are, continuing their steady expansion, regions like Africa, Asia Pacific, and the Middle East are showing particularly strong momentum. They boast significantly higher CGRs, which indicates a really rapid and decisive shift in consumer behavior in those parts of the world. This isn't just about gradual growth. It feels like shifting centers of influence for this market are emerging.
That's a really powerful summary of the geographical dynamics. Okay, so stepping back from the specific numbers for a moment.
Okay.
For you, the listener, who's trying to make sense of this global trend, so what does this all mean for you? What are the overarching implications here? What does all this rapid expansion and regional variation really mean for how people are choosing their drinks, maybe? Or for how beverage companies should be thinking?
Yeah, good question. Look, what we're seeing isn't just simple growth, right? It feels more like a fundamental recalibration of consumer preferences. Flavored water seems to be tapping into this global desire for healthier hydration options, but options that still offer taste and variety. It's moving consumers away from, say, traditional sugary drinks or maybe even just plain water for some occasions. And the surge in emerging economies, particularly Africa, it isn't just about more people buying flavored water. It suggests a significant shift in beverage choices as disposable incomes rise and perhaps health consciousness spreads. They might be leapfrogging some of those traditional sugary drinks entirely in some cases. It really points to where the next big beverage innovations might truly take root,
That's a fascinating point about consumers maybe leapfrogging those older categories. That makes a lot of sense. But, given the speed of this growth, particularly in these newer, faster-growing markets, are there any potential challenges or maybe risks we should be aware of? For instance, what about sustainability concerns with packaging? That always comes up with beverages, or even market saturation down the line, especially in those more mature regions like Europe.
Yeah, those are very valid points. And while this data primarily focuses on market value, you're right. Sustained growth at this level will undoubtedly put pressure on resource management and especially packaging innovation. It'll likely push companies much harder towards more sustainable solutions, whether that's recycled materials, different formats, whatever it might be. As for saturation in mature markets, well, the steady but slightly lower CAGR, like in Europe, suggests maybe a more gradual evolution there. Competition might get pretty intense, sure, but the market could continue to expand by basically stealing share from other beverage categories like sodas or juices. The really exciting part, I think, is watching how different regions adapt and innovate in response to these trends and pressures.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, so to kind of recap our deep dive then,
Yeah.
the flavored water market isn't just, a bit of fizz. It's clearly a rapidly expanding global sector. And it has these significant regional variations, which really point to a dynamic global trend in beverage consumption, driven by, it seems, shifting consumer preferences towards health and taste, and definitely the rise of these new fast-growing markets.
Exactly. And this raises an important question for you, the listener, to maybe think about as you reflect on your own daily choices or maybe just observe the beverage aisles next time you're shopping. How might these rapid global shifts, particularly the really high growth in emerging economies, influence the types of new drinks we see appearing on shelves everywhere? And maybe what does that tell us about how daily habits and choices are changing, not just here, but worldwide?
Exactly. Definitely something to mull over as you grab your next drink, whatever it might be.
Oh,
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring the world around you with informed curiosity.